It's a beautiful morning. I think I'll go outside for a while and just smile. Just taking some clean, fresh.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Krebs Coho replay cast. I hope you're all having a very wonderful day. I am having a wonderful day. I'm glad that exams are finished. I was working the weekend 4 days straight, and so I'm just very glad to have one day off where I can just be lazy and give you guys a cast, because this is what I was hoping to do for you guys for a while, and here you go, guys. So I believe this might be the second to last replay I'll be doing on 2.601. I'm very sure you guys are aware that the beta change is going to be finally coming out in its full glory, and if you don't know that, then you need to stop living under your rock. Now then, guys, I believe, as I was saying, that this might be my second to last cast. I believe I will do another one tomorrow, just as a farewell to 2.601. And if you guys have been part of this game long enough, you'll realize that this 2.601 has actually been out for over a year now, so it hasn't been really addressed in terms of some balance issues. So it's actually very nice that Relic and THQ are actually getting back into the balance issues and fixing what really desperately needed some changes. Now, 2.601 is coming, or 2.602 is coming out tomorrow, so we'll be expecting a lot of changes. I'm not exactly sure what they are in full detail, but we'll have to see. I mean, a lot of us are going to have to get used to that. But anyway, if we're talking about the replay, this is a game featuring greatness. Now, I was actually trolling about and doing a bit of lurking on the game replays forum, and just thinking to myself, okay, what replays could I do before 2.601 is done? And well, I actually did find one, and apparently it was really good. But I found out in my little list of games that I had one from greatness, and I've been sort of overdoing this for a bit too long. And so, just in respect to greatness, I will do a replay or a cast on one of her replays. I've been meaning to get around to it, and well, here we go. A bit belated, a bit late, but nonetheless, coming about. So, we're going to be having greatness playing as the Americans, and up in the north, SGR Empire as the Americans as well. And I'm sorry, I'm just sort of skipping the action right here. I'll have you guys let you guys see a bit of the action. Hope that keeps you guys satisfied. And they are going to be versing MetaMokReborn as the Wehrmacht, and we also have a PE player, Don't Drop, I'm a Smurf. What a funny name. Playing as PE on the south side as well. Now this is Rails and Metal 2v2, so hopefully I'll be able to manage all this action whilst being a solo caster, so we'll see how this goes. But anyway, if we're going to be talking about Rails and Metal, you guys are very familiar with this, as I'm sure. For the new people, if you're not, this is quite a long rectangular map. If you look in the mini-map in the lower left corner, you can obviously see that it stretches quite a bit. Now this makes for an interesting play because you can sort of divide the map into two halves. You have the right half, or the, what do you say, maybe the most eastern half, or southern half, I suppose you could say it like that, that has a house right here, and this becomes a sort of center of attention. Now I'm sure many of you are very aware of this already. You also have another house over here on the northern side, so all things to keep aware of. Now, when we're talking about buildings, we do have the barracks coming out from both American players, so that means that you'll be having your jeeps and riflemen, all that jazz coming out, but we only have the riflemen coming out at the moment, so this will most likely be a non-harassive strategy and focusing on infantry, so we will have to see what comes out of this. When it comes to the Wehrmacht, though, he has his Wehrmacht quarters. He did have a bit of MGs and a motorbike, and he has a Volksgrenadier, so pretty much everything that you can build except a sniper from the Wehrmacht quarters. So kind of interesting stuff at the moment. Not really much to tell about it, just a bit of skirmishing. From the PE, we do have our Kampfgruppe, company, building structure, whatever you want to call it, coming down as well. I have a feeling I'm going to really butcher these names. Kampfgruppe Company. Hopefully that'll be right, but for all the Germans out there, please correct me because, you know, I am not German and my tongue needs a bit of training in the German accent. But anyway, guys, so we do have a bit of a tank trap coming down from the American players. Kind of strange stuff, but fair enough. I'm guessing this is just to deny the opponent any Wehrmacht from coming in through this direction. Whether they can still squeeze around that tank trap, I'm not exactly sure. Might still be possible. But then again, it's kind of an odd positioning because they could still get around through this side over here, the southern side of the trench. I'm not exactly sure what to think about that, so we'll just see what happens. Now we do, as we saw that Kampfgruppe company, we do have the infantry half-track coming out. We do have a bunch of Panzer Grenadiers, 4 squads, so quite a typical build of the Panzer Elite. Usually they like to throw out four squads whilst they have a Schimwagen or their Kettenkrad going about capping. So 4 Panzer Grenadier squads and their infantry half-track. What could this mean? Since there's an infantry half-track, then there could be a heavy investment towards infantry. The reason I say that is because the infantry half-track is pretty decent at suppressing opponents' infantry, sort of the riflemen, but they're also capable of reinforcing Panzer Grenadiers that are located right beside them. So they work as sort of a normal half-track that you might get from the motor pool or the Krieg barracks. So sort of the same function, but it has a more useful turret on top of it, MG should I say. So we just have this little Schimwagen going about. Now the fuel is actually capped by sgrempire. I do love that because the fuel on this map is very crucial. Usually if the battling is going correctly, the map will be about half-half. So that basically means that the fuel on this side of the map will be given to one team, and on the other side will be given to the other team. So if you're just trying to maximize that fuel, especially since it's a higher fuel point as well. So he's got plus 18, that is a medium fuel point. So plus 18 with the observation post is trying to maximize how much fuel he gets from that, and also just maintaining its state in the hands of the Americans. So pretty interesting stuff. I do like that. Here we have a massive infantry blob. This is absolutely crazy. 7 minutes into the game, we have a big mass of infantry. No bars on them, so they are going to be quite limited. We do have a bit of flamethrowers going down, so I do love that sort of mixture of stuff. If we switch on over to sgrempire, I also believe at the beginning of the game he did mention that he is going to be going for Infantry Doctrine. So what could that mean? There's going to be a capitalization on the infantry, but whether what will come out of that, we'll have to see. It's likely that there could be a mixture of rangers, maybe howitzers, but we'll have to see as I keep on stressing. Now, it's very, very likely that bars will come out on these riflemen, considering that there's so many. I believe we do have grenades from Greatness, and also bars as well, because I did see a grenade go flying into the building down here on the south side. So Greatness has invested in her grenades and her bars. What could that mean? That could mean that there will be a bit of a slower progression through teching up. Now, the Americans did have quite a good control on the fuel. Unfortunately, they are cut off now, and it doesn't look like this observation post will be in quite a bad position of being taken out. But slow teching, so it's kind of unlikely that we'll see the motor pool coming up as fast. If we switch on over to Greatness, she is at 52 fuel. Still needs to get a supply yard down, so that is still quite a bit of bit away. And we do have a little rifleman squad going down. Sort of unfortunate loss. This bar could be very, very handy for the Volksgrenadiers because they do require the 50 ammunition in order to upgrade for their MP40s. So picking up a bar just saves a whole bunch of ammunition, just makes your Volksgrenadiers a bit more stronger. So pretty nice seeing that. We do have a bit of mines from Greatness coming down. I do like that sort of reinforcement of this area, just to sort of make sure that whatever attacks do come about will not be as effective. Now we do have also the sniper coming out, so every single unit from that Wehrmacht quarters has been deployed. Although I'm not exactly sure what happened to that motorbike. Maybe it was taken out. Oh no, it's right here. It's just helping out the Panzer Grenadiers. So nice little bit of teamwork. This observation post badly burned, going to be going down. And oh my gosh, here we go. A whole big massive blob of bars and ooh, flamethrowers. Now, I know when we're talking about strategies, you guys might not like blobs. If you're gonna ask my personal opinion, I find blobs very annoying as well, but then again, there's a lot of aspects to the game that people should not overlook, but just accept. Blobbing is a totally valid strategy, as is, say, base destroying, for example. They're all harassive, they're all abusive, they're all annoying, but nonetheless, they are part of the game, and that is what you guys have to deal with. So blobbing, even though it might be very, very annoying, you just gotta figure out a way to counter it. So you need your anti-infantry in order to do that. I do like how there is a medic bunker somewhere, some medic tent somewhere. I can't exactly find it at the moment. I'm not going to look for it just because I think you guys rather see the action at the moment. Now these bars, Greatness really needs to be a bit more careful and needs to get this micro up to par. The sniper did manage to take out a second rifleman squad. When we're talking about manpower in the early to mid game, as this is going to be leading into, losing so many squads, it really sets you back, because if you could imagine right at the moment, 2 extra squads on the field right now would be able to combat these squads of grenadiers and these pioneers who are capturing, but since they're not there, they can't do that. I would like to see this medic go down. I know people do not, or it's just morally right that you do not kill medics, but it is a game after all, and okay, there we go. MetaMokReborn has obviously been reading my mind, or I'm just speaking a bit too far ahead. He did take out that medic, so just depriving your enemy of actually getting any further riflemen. And here we go, the elusive little medic station, so quite an investment. Obviously when a medic station is down, it could be a sure sign that your opponent is going heavily into infantry, but then again, that's not set in stone. Even if your opponent might get only, say, 2 or 3 rifleman squad, in the overall length of the game, it is quite possible that they could get multiple squads out of those few units of men. So always something just to keep in mind. We do have a little MG placement here. Kind of interesting, just depriving the enemy of the VPs. And if we're talking about VPs at the moment, the Wehrmacht are already down to 264. That's almost half of their VPs, so that is something quite to note. So I do like how the Americans are trying to sort of defend their VPs, just making sure that they have control of them, especially in the beginning when there's lots of infantry. And by doing so, they obviously have a very good chance of winning the game. I mean, the Wehrmacht are down to half points, as I've been stressing, so it is quite likely that that you could actually drain your opponent of VPs if it was so, if you managed to maintain dominance in them. So just a bit more skirmishing going about. We do have some Shreks coming out from Don't Drop, I'm a Smurf, a huge massive blob of riflemen charging in for some kills. I do like the incendiary grenades that were going down, so quite a good upgrade from the PE. Just burning, as you guys can see, doing a lot of damage, taking out 2 guys. Wow. So if you weren't thinking that these incendiary grenades were that good at killing men, they are definitely very good. Men that walk right through it are at very, very high danger. We do have sgrempire just saying that he's going to be going for Shermans, so going to be mixing up his infantry with a bit of tanks. Let's look at their doctrines if they have chosen any. sgrempire does have his infantry doctrine selected, so he does have his ranger, so this is the left hand side of the infantry doctrine. So these rangers could be very good if they are upgraded with Thompsons at taking out infantry, but then again, even with their bazookas that they get from the get-go, they are very decent at taking out tanks, although not the very best. They are okay at taking them out. And let's take a look at, say, Greatness, still saving up, not exactly sure what she could be saving up for. Don't Drop, I'm a Smurf, nothing either, and Reborn, nothing as well. So it seems like Empire was the only keen one at the moment to do anything. The Grenadiers not very successful with their grenade. So quite unfortunate things, really. Now, if we switch on back over to Greatness, because she does have her MA armored car, kind of an interesting choice at the moment, but I'm not exactly sure if that's something that I would do if I was in her position. It is sort of recognizable that the Wehrmacht does not have much in terms of anti-tank, but the Panzer Lead definitely. I mean, they do have multiple Panzerschreck squads that obviously are going to cause the M8 a very, very bad day. Now we do also have a pack out on the field from the Wehrmacht. So this MA is very much so likely to be encountered. And this is what's sort of making me iffy about the MA, because if we just go on over to the Wehrmacht space, MetaMokReborn, he does have his Krieg barracks out. So that means he's going to be definitely investing into his infantry and his more early mid-game units. So it is likely that we're going to have the packs out, and we do have the packs, we do have grenadiers. So if we're going to be talking about what he should do next, the Wehrmacht, it's likely that they should stay on T2 and probably get some veterancy going, because the jump from T2 to say T3 or T4 is quite a big jump. And I actually wouldn't recommend going from T2 to T3, because usually by the time you get T3 it's too late for Pumas, they can be countered and so on. So usually if you're gonna be going for T2, you want to jump to T4 afterwards. Now this is just an absolute mass blob of guys. This is absolutely crazy. When we were talking about investing in infantry, I wasn't expecting this much, but this is definitely blob tactics to the max, and this is what Empire is definitely trying to go for. Wow. A bit of a propaganda war coming down just to chase away these multiple squads. So that does mean that Meta has gone for his terror doctrine, and not a bad choice either. I would actually have gone for that as well. The terror doctrine, by having this propaganda war 100 ammunition, you can respond correctly to the mass blobs of infantry. So as we can see, Empire has been definitely going for his blobs. So these propaganda wars will definitely make the situations in the future much more easier to handle. But yeah, as I was saying, when it comes to T2 to T4, that's what you should be trying to aim for. But in the meantime, you should try and get veterancy, because he's obviously going to be, Meta's going to be investing a lot in his infantry. So he should definitely try to get maybe at least veterancy 2, possibly veterancy 3 infantry. And maybe even a medic bunker at that. But it's all up to speculation at the moment. So just a bit more combat team going about. We do have the veterancy 2 on the Volksgrenadier, so I like how these players are actually doing the things that I have in mind. I do like what they're trying to do. We also have the veterancy 1 of defense on the multiple squads, and that is pretty good. What could that mean? They could possibly go for, say, 2 defense and then maybe a 3rd attack veterancy. Okay, geez, and this is what I absolutely mean about solo casting 2v2 games. It is a lot to intake. I really wanted to try and cover everything in this game, but honestly guys, there's so much to intake. We do have an M10 tank destroyer out. I mean, I could keep on talking about all the stuff that's going on in the field right now, but I really want to get a bit more tactical and analyze this a bit more. I'm not going to pause the game, because that is obviously just going to slow the game down a bit too much. So I want to focus on the PE a little bit, so let's switch on over to Don't Drop on the Smurf. Now he did go for his tank destroyer doctrine, and that is possibly a good choice. It's kind of an iffy thing against all these infantry. Maybe you would want Fallschirmjägers or something like that from the Luftwaffe to try and take him out. But tank destroyer, you can make it effective. Don't Drop on the Smurf is very heavily oriented on anti-tank right now. In terms of anti-infantry, he just seems to have this half-track, and that is not going to do much at all, to be honest. If you're going to be going for tank destroyer doctrine, I think you should really try to mix it up a bit. So maybe have some anti-infantry infantry and some hetzers. But then again, I actually don't think I would personally go for that. I don't think I'd actually go for hetzers at all, and I actually say that for a reason. Now, if you look at the hetzers cost, they actually cost 600 manpower. Now that is a lot. If we're talking about balance of resources, what you'll be doing in the long term is you'll have hardly any manpower, since you'll be focusing so much on these hetzers, but you'll have a huge abundance of fuel. Now I sort of have this common belief that if you're going to try and be most successful in a game, what you need to try and do is distribute your resources accordingly. So that means making the most use of your fuel, your ammunition, and your manpower. So as I said, by having these Hetzers out 600 manpower, you're going to be competing with your infantry as well, building more Panzer Grenadiers and also upgrading, teching, getting other abilities and so on. So I'd actually avoid Hetzers altogether. If I was going to be going for anti-tank, I would continue furthermore up the left-hand side of the tank destroyer doctrine tree and go for the double Shreks. By doing that, I would actually have double Shreks on my Panzer Grenadiers, making them very effective anti-tanks. I wouldn't have any Hetzers, and if I was going to be focusing on anti-infantry, I'd probably maybe go for Panzer IVs, because Panzer IVs are definitely very good tanks at taking out infantry, and by having this mix of double Shrek PE units, they would be a very formidable force. And that's what you should be aiming for, just trying to mix up your units and having a good mix. So not too much of one thing, not too much of the other. And now here we go, another mass blob. This is so much to take in. Loads and loads of guys. Now this is a sort of battlefield setting up right here. All these riflemen coming in to charge in on the Panzer Grenadiers. We do have the Hetzers taking a bit of shots off at the back, taking a bit of sticky damage, but apart from any other anti-tank damage, there are no other any anti-tanks. Just the stickies that are going to be very big hassle. Now I do like the choice of the Infantry Doctrine by sgrempire. Personally, when I'm versing a Panzer Elite player, I would go for Airborne, just strictly because Strafing Run is so effective against mass PE units. But considering that dontdropimasmurf does not have a mass amount of Panzer Grenadiers, then it seems quite a wise choice actually to go for all these Rangers. And by having all these infantry on the field and not so much in terms of abilities from the Infantry Doctrine, you're able to save your ammunition and use the stickies. And so we've been seeing loads and loads of stickies come down on these Hetzers, and they obviously took a lot of damage from that. So very good use of all these riflemen and being able to use their ammunition to throw stickies. So I do like all this mixture of stuff. Obviously these people know what they're doing. Only thing I can really comment is on dontdropimasmurf's combination of pretty much just anti-tank. What it really needs is just more anti-infantry. And as you guys can see, the MG acting as a support because PE really does need a bit of anti-infantry right at the moment. And so more action just going away. Trying desperately to take out this Hetzer. Whether they'll be able to, I don't know. It looks kind of unlikely at the moment, especially if you're trying to get, if you're getting only frontal armor shots. And so Greatness is pushing down on the south, so I've just been basically focusing this on the northern side for, I don't know, maybe like the last 7 or so minutes. So let's go on back to Greatness and see what's happening over here. She's trying to charge in sort of boldly into the MG fire. This is not going to lead anywhere. Really needs to get out of there. I'm not exactly sure what this is meant to lead. Maybe she's trying to throw some grenades or something. But as you can see, the Panzer, or the Grenadiers, are doing some of their own, throwing some of their own grenades. And so yeah, just all this stuff going on at the moment. Now, Greatness has actually chosen her armor doctrine. Kind of an interesting choice. Whether that is the correct choice, usually if you're going to be investing on your armor doctrine, you really want to have a mass amount of tanks out at the moment. The interesting thing to note is that she did go for the right hand side of infantry, or the armor doctrine, so she will be getting her Calliopes. And I suppose that is sort of an understandable thing. Usually when you have a lot more tanks, you might want to go for the left-hand side of the armor doctrine because you have field repairs. But as you can see, she went for the right-hand side of the doctrine, so she does have her Calliope out, and she will be able to make pretty much an effective use of that. I could imagine that destroying this frontal line will be such an easy job for the Calliope. And especially against a Panzer Elite, considering that they are going to be so susceptible to the Calliope fire. And it does actually look like Smurf has gone fully down the left-hand side of the tank destroyer doctrine, because he does have double Shreks on his squads now. So lots and lots of anti-tank. I'm not exactly sure how Panzer Shreks could do against infantry. I'm sure you guys have seen the occasional Shrek shot take out a random guy, luckily, but then again, they're not the perfect anti-infantry whatsoever, and neither are Hetzers. They're mainly focused on anti-tank, and now this is sort of the bad thing. The Hetzers aren't really doing much of a good job at taking out infantry. If we look at one Hetzer, the time that he's been out at the moment, he's only managed to rack up 4 kills on infantry. And the other Hetzer, 19 kills. Now that is very surprising. Usually the Hetzers aren't that good at taking out infantry. Perhaps usually from their single shots, they might be able to take out one guy at a time. But that is very surprising. And 19 infantry, 20 infantry kills, should I say, on a Hetzer is very, very surprising. Now we do have the Panzer IV route. I do like that Smurf has responded correctly with more anti-infantry by going for, respectively, his anti-infantry tank. So as you guys can see, the Panzer IV infantry support tank. And it would make a very, very good use of taking out all the riflemen, because as soon as it locks down, it'll be shooting fire or shooting at a much faster fire rate, and that will do a lot of damage. And so loads and loads of battling. This is the very hectic thing about 2v2s. Just constantly battling. I know it's not going to happen every single game, but then again, 2v2s in more expert intermediate games, yeah, definitely you'll see that action happening all the time. The Wehrmacht are quite at a difficult position at the moment. I think the Wehrmacht really are counting on their King Tiger. What a common sort of thing is in 1v1s, for example, is whenever the Wehrmacht are going for the Terror Doctrine, they sort of hold out till they can get their King Tiger. Usually they might be pushed back to their base even at times, and that King Tiger is usually what's meant to change the course of the game and change the tide of what's happening.